question number 3, the extended response to reading, which is the last part that you need to tackle as part of your paper 1, the reading paper. This is a 25 marker as well, and this is it specifically says the October November 2026 examination, because moving forward things are going to be changing a bit. That is why it specifically tells you that this is for the October November 2026 series. Now, personally, I believe, or personally, when I discuss this with my students, I believe that the extended writing response, which is question number 3, it can easily be called as a minor directed writing task. Because, why do I say minor? Because you still come across one major directed writing task, which is in paper 2, which is section A, in which you tackle 3 different genres. But in this case, you're tackling 6 different genres, and either one of those can actually come to you in the exam. So it's a letter, a report, a journal, a speech, an interview, or an article. You will have to familiarize yourselves with each one of those properly. You will have to understand how the formats differ. You will have to understand how you're going to be tackling the questions, so on and so forth. Technical details to understand are, this is again a 25 marker in total, and because this is the reading paper, so you're basically marked, or you're basically given 15 marks for reading, which is basically your understanding of content and development of it, and 10 marks are for writing, which is literally for your grammar, for your spellings, for your punctuation, so on and so forth. All right, what we also call as SPAG. Do you guys have any idea what SPAG means?
No, not really.
So this is spelling, punctuation, and grammar. Right? Do you guys understand now?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is spelling, punctuation, and grammar, which we call SPAG. So then moving on, we have the understanding that for this task again, you will be reading text C. And this task at the end of the day is supposed to be 250 to 350 words in total. Alina, can you tell us better? What's the word count for writer's effect?
200 words.
So it's 200 to 300 words, all right? As opposed to writer's effect, the extended writing response is 250 to 350 words in total. So this is important to understand in this capacity. Moving on, what do we understand from the question in itself in its entirety? So the contents of this particular worksheet are as follows. What exactly question 3 is demanding of you? How do we tackle the 15 reading marks? Retrieval, inference, and development, that's what we focus on. Then we have the 10, which are the writing marks. Then we have the source text, how to attack the question, the 6 text types, format at a glance, 6 model responses you will get as well in this, and then there's a final a checklist of sorts. So, what exactly is question number 3 asking of you? What does it want of you? What is it expecting of you? All right, so question number 3 basically gives you an understanding of a role that you need to play as the writer. It gives you an understanding of the audience, a purpose, a text type, and 3 bullet points. Before I discuss all of this with you, we go back to an understanding of the genres: letter, report, journal, speech, interview, and article, right? Just a minute, guys. मुबीन मुबीन थोड़ा इसको ना ज़रा हल्का कर लीजिए, मेरी ना क्लास जो चल रही है ना रिकॉर्ड हो रही है, पीछे से सारी आवाज़ें आ रही हैं. Sorry guys, sorry about that. Anyway, remember I told you guys it can qualify as directed writing? Can you guys tell me what directed writing actually means? If you have to understand directed writing, can any one of you tell me what directed writing means? Either one of you, Alina, any ideas?
No.
Okay. Afan, no idea, beta?
No.
Acha.
No.
Guys, in paper 2, we tackle something we understand as directed writing and composition writing. Now, the difference between the two that we need to understand properly and we need to have a very, very basic understanding of is the difference between the two. When I ask my students the difference between the two, they usually end up telling me the genres of writing that you need to tackle in this case, right? Now, you can tell me as well, Miss, when it comes to directed writing or the extended writing response, we are going to be tackling a letter, report, journal, blah, blah, blah. And in composition writing, we will be tackling narrative or descriptive. Might as well just tell me that, and that's fine. But those are categories of writing or subcategories of writing when it comes to these, umbrella terms, which is directed writing and composition writing. But difference क्या होता है दोनों में? A lot of kids understand कि अच्छा miss for directed writing for composition we simply get a topic, and for directed we get a passage to work on. That's not the case. Directed writing is simply what we understand to be something that we do to inform, that we work on or write to inform, to persuade, or to educate. This is what directed writing means, beta. You're writing to inform, you're writing to persuade, you're writing to educate. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Afan, which is that one subject that you find the hardest?
Probably math.
Okay. And which is one subject that you really find interesting?
Islamiyat.
Okay, that's wonderful to know. What about you, Alina? I think आपने मुझे कल बताया भी था, if I'm not wrong. Maybe it was another
No.
student. हाँ,
Yeah.
go on bit.
The hardest would be chemistry, and the most interesting would be maths.
Okay, good enough. So the chemistry part absolutely makes sense to me as well, because well, when I did my own O levels as well, I really sucked at chemistry, so I can absolutely understand this. Acha, theek hai. So there's math and chemistry, and then there's Islamiyat and maths, right? Acha, does it ever happen, particularly with the harder subjects? For Afan, it's math. For you, it's chemistry. Does it ever happen that you end up you sit down to study this particular subject, and the moment you open the book, maybe 5 minutes into studying or 10 minutes into it, you kind of feel like that you want to go to sleep. You end up yawning. Does that ever happen?
Yes.
Yes, Afan. What about
Mm,
you?
yeah.
Yeah, you feel like this is something which is
Yeah.
definitely not worth your time, perhaps. Yes. क्यों ऐसा होता है? अच्छा कभी चलो आई
Yeah.
टेल यू गाइस कि ऐसा क्यों होता है इन अ बिट बट बिफोर दैट टेल मी दिस डू यू गाइस like to watch movies, maybe read books as well?
Yeah.
Okay, did you guys watch the new Spider-Man that just came out?
Yeah.
Afan did. Alina, what about you? No, not yet.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Beta, did you manage did you could you watch the new Spider-Man movie that just came out?
No.
Okay, not yet. But chalo, koi bhi movie that you guys like, maybe, or you guys, particularly like the genre of that movie, or maybe a movie that you had been waiting for. कभी ऐसा तो नहीं होता होगा उस movie के बीच में कि you instantly want to go to sleep, or you end up yawning, or anything of that sort. Yeah,
Yeah.
does it ever happen?
Yeah.
Does that ever?
No.
No. That's because a movie is literally transporting you into a world of fiction, more or less so, and it is for your entertainment. You're not specifically, you are learning something from it as well, but the better way to put it would be that you are simply enjoying it, right? It's a pastime, isn't that the case, guys? Yes.
Yeah.
But apart from that, on the other hand, if you take your directed writing into consideration, we will understand right away that it's not the case for directed writing, because if your textbooks are a prime example of directed writing, they're aiming to inform you about something, they're aiming to educate you, they're aiming to persuade you. Let's suppose you study Islamiyat or history. It's telling you something that happened in the past, right? And with that you will be able to understand how to do things better in the future. So it's educating you. right? Isn't that the case? It's informing you about something. You study physics, you study maths, you study any subject of that sort. It's going to be teaching you something that more or less so would come handy in the future. Isn't that the case, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in the same capacity, our directed writing is a prime example or prime understanding of our textbooks. जो चीज़ हमें पसंद होती है, we probably would not, our brain would be quite into it, and we would not feel like we want to go to sleep right away. We'll absolutely put our heart and mind into it. We'll feel that way, right? But if that's not the case, then we absolutely feel like it's boring, right? So it literally works the same way when it comes to subjects we do not like. In this case, let's suppose if we take article or report or speech or interview, any other thing of that sort. Let's suppose we take article. Let's suppose it's an article on junk food for senior citizens. That one article alone would aim to persuade senior citizens to maybe give up junk food eating, right? Because it's not good for their health. It would also aim to educate and inform them on the cons of junk food eating, how it's not good for their health. Isn't that the case, Bacha?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's is it telling you stories? Hmm? What do you guys
Yeah.
think? Is it telling you stories?
No.
No, it's not. It's not telling you stories. It
No.
is literally leading with facts. Is that not the case? Yes?
Yeah.
That's the case. So it
Yeah.
is literally leading with facts, and that is why it's important to understand that these prime examples of directed writing, they are aiming to inform, persuade, or to educate. Whereas when it comes to composition writing, the aim is to entertain. All right. This is exactly why we have to understand things like an audience, a purpose. Form is what we understand as a text type, and then there's three bullet points, which are our prompt points that we need to lead with, that we need to build our writing around. So our audience is extremely important. Can any one of you tell me why an understanding of the audience is important? Who we are writing for?
So you can,
Mhm.
so you can figure out a way to have them interested in what you're writing about.
Okay. All right. Okay, we'll hold on to that thought. What else, Alina? Any ideas, beta?
No, it's the same.
Okay, so basically, why do we need to have a good idea about our audience? Is primarily because unless we have a good idea about them, we will not be able to write the way that we should be. For example, when it comes to audience, we need to have a very sound understanding of register. Register means the way in which we are writing. So the register of writing simply equates to formal, informal, semi formal, etc. Right? Let's suppose if you're writing to someone older than yourself, someone you are in a more professional capacity with, someone you're not familiar with, will you be using the formal tone or the informal tone?
Formal.
Exactly. Whereas if you're writing to someone you're familiar with or on friendly terms with as well, or maybe someone who is, they're close to your age group, which particular register of writing would you use then? Would you employ?
Informal.
Informal, or it could be semi formal as well. In what capacity, we'll learn that later. So, understanding of the audience is important so we can actually understand the register of our writing. We will take the required tone, we will take the required register as deeming or as befitting our audience. Does that make sense, Vita? Obviously, if
Yes.
Yeah.
you're writing something or we're writing to educate senior citizens or people older than us, we cannot be extremely friendly with them and use the same words or the same language that we primarily will use with friends, right? Isn't that the case, guys?
Yes.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then. So it then asks you to write about 250 to 350 words as somebody inside the world of text C. 15 of the marks are for how well you have read them. and 10 are for how well you write. So why is it called an extended response? सबसे तो main चीज ये है. Because you're not summarizing text C, and you are not analyzing it, you are extending upon it, you are developing it. Everything you write must be traceable back to the passage. So, whatever point you're fixating upon, it should link the ideas that you are developing back to the main point of the passage. Does that make sense, Bacha?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
almost none of it will appear there in that form. The examiner is reading to see whether you understood the situation well enough to speak from inside of it. So, this is where understanding, implicit understanding, also comes in. Do we remember implicit understanding?
Yes.
Yes, we do. So, implicit means obviously when we are trying to read in between the lines. Isn't that the case? Yes? Okay,
Yeah.
good enough. Let's move on. Why is this not a creative writing task? The temptation is to treat the role as a license to invent. It is not. देखो इसमें अगेन यू गाइस हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि जो डायरेक्ट हमारी कॉम्पोजिशन राइटिंग होती है ना, नैरेटिव एंड डिस्क्रिप्टिव, उसमें वी लिव इन अ वर्ल्ड ऑफ फिक्शन एंड दैट्स फाइन. Anything is possible in that world. You want to give a human beings a human being a tail and two horns, that's fine too. You want to make a human being with 8 arms and 8 legs, that's fine too. That depends on you. Because in that world, in the world of fiction, in the world of composition writing, you are your own master. You write as you deem fit. But in this case, in this particular task or directed writing for that matter, this is not where you have been given a free rein to invent, to be creative as you deem fit. All right, because if a detail, it cannot be defended from text C, and if it's completely your own point of view or completely something that you have come up with, it will earn you nothing. It will be a contradiction to the passage that is given. Understand this, beta. Okay, the extended writing response, it's kind of like a spin-off of text C. It's extended version. It's an extension of that task. Does that make sense, बच्चों? मगर बेसिस हमारी
Yeah.
उसी से बनी हुई है. Like sequels to a movie, like Jurassic Park, let's
Yeah.
suppose. The first movie came out and the other movies followed, which are an extension of the first part. Sequels, right?
Yeah.
So the marks for imagination on this paper are marks for imagining into the text, not away from it. Everything that you write, it should be in one way or the other, it should be a development of your text. Does that make sense, guys? Why
Yeah.
copying limits you? So this is also extremely important to understand. Repeating the passage shows only that you can find a sentence. The reading levels reward ideas that are selected, reshaped, and taken further. Responses that lean on the wording of the original sit low in the table, however neatly they are presented. Dekho, this task is not a summary task. This is not about paraphrasing, all right? This is about you get one point from the passage and then you develop on that point. You give us more examples related to it. You give us an explanation related to that point. So you're not getting marks for copying or paraphrasing that same point. You're getting marks for developing it, for explaining it further. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then beta we have this. Why the role, audience, and purpose matters. I cannot stress on this enough because when it comes to directed writing or extended writing responses of this sort, it is important and imperative for us to understand this, that without a solid understanding of the role that you're playing, the audience that you're writing for, and the purpose that you're writing for, that matters the most. If you deviate from these three parts, if from these 3 points, you're deviating from the task itself. So these three decisions control every sentence you write. A warden reporting to trustees and a volunteer writing to a friend may use the same information from text C and produce two entirely different texts because your audience is different. Isn't that the case? This volunteer writing to a friend is a friend writing to a friend. Isn't that the case? Whereas warden reporting
Yeah.
to trustees is a more professional relationship. Make sense? So
Yes.
Yeah.
both sets of marks, reading and writing, are affected. The reading table revolves a convincing voice, a convincing argument, in a manner of speaking, and the writing voice regards or rewards register that fits the audience and the purpose of writing. Have you used the informal conventions of writing if that was the need? If you have used the formal register of writing when the informal was needed, you're losing marks. So, for example, let me give you a small example to it. Let's suppose you're writing as a volunteer to a friend, then your register of writing means that you should be using contractions in writing, right? You should be using can't instead of cannot. Do you understand, guys? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you end up using cannot
Yeah.
instead of can't, then you lose marks बेटा, क्योंकि ये informal writing है. And in informal writing specifically we need to use contractions. Similarly, vice versa, if we end up using can't instead of cannot in formal writing, we again lose marks. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Why all three
Yeah.
bullets must be covered? Acha, you must be wondering what these bullets are about. So when you get the question, when you get question number 3, you get 3 bullet points that you need to understand as prompts, which are basically related to the question, and you need to develop each of these 3 bullet points as best as you can. Your idea, your argument needs to revolve around them. So the bullets are the mark scheme in disguise. Examiners annotate responses against these 3 areas, one for each bullet. A response that develops the first bullet superbly and reduces the third to 2 lines has capped itself. Because balance across the bullet is part of the level description. Understand this that each of these bullet points in each of their paragraphs, they need to be developed in a balanced way all across your response, all across your answer. Make sense? Now, why 250 to 350 words? This is the length at which 3 bullets can each be developed properly, much shorter, and the ideas stay thin. Much longer, and the candidates usually start retelling the passage. So, this, as the examiners have found over the years of checking exam scripts, we have understood that generally speaking, this works best 250 to 350, even in your O levels exams as well, and even by the way in your major directed writing task and paper 2 as well. For directed writing you get the same word count. For composition you do not. What's the word count for composition writing, guys? Any idea? No. So for composition
Um,
writing the count is 350 to 450 words, all right? Because in a story you can write up to that much, in a descriptive you can do that as well, but when it comes to directed writing we personally believe that 250 to 350 is the best possible word count given to students. So guys, all good so far?
yes.
Yeah.
Now personally this is how I believe breaking it down makes more sense. How do we tackle the question itself? How do we tackle question number 3? This is personally what I believe students can follow through in terms of a template, and it will make the best sense to them. So, first and foremost, obviously, it goes without saying that you read the text, then you select information, then you infer information from it, what is being told to you from in between the lines, then you develop the information, you adapt it according to the bullet points given, and then you write. So, first and foremost, reread text C with the 3 bullet points in front of you. You are no longer reading for the story. Choose the details that serve a bullet, ignore the rest, however interesting. The same thing that I have told you to do for summary writing. Whatever information is given which is irrelevant to the point itself, irrelevant to the guiding question, irrelevant to the guiding bullet, please ignore that. All right, no matter how important you believe it is, ignore it. Then infer. Ask what each detail suggests about feelings, motives, relationships, or consequences. So this is an extremely important point. You have to infer what exactly each detail is suggesting about feelings, motives, relationships, or consequences. So for example, let's suppose if I tell you guys, um Maya read the letter twice and then tucked it in the depth of her pocket. What are you able to infer in terms of attitude or feeling? Maya read the letter twice before safely tucking it in the depths of her pocket, in the depths of her coat pocket, let's suppose. What are you guys able to get from this?
Well, that the note was probably something secretive, so she tucked it in really deep into her pocket so it wouldn't fall out.
Very good. This could tell us that perhaps something that was secretive as well, something she would not want others to get their hands on, something that's important to her perhaps, because in no way does it suggest that she got nervous reading it, right? So we can't say that it was the
Yeah.
bearer of bad news. So there's so many ways that we can infer, or so many points that we can infer from this one line. But the thing is that this is what inference means. You have to understand the attitude being projected. Alina, does it make sense better?
Yes.
All right, then, good to go. All right, moving on then. We have adapt. Reshape everything into the voice, register, and shape of the required text type. Make sure this is because this is extremely important. So try to reshape everything into the voice, register, and shape of the required text type. Make sure that you're writing according to format. Make sure that you understood your purpose, you understood your audience properly, you understood what do you call it? The person, the people, the audience that you're working for, the writing for, so on and so forth. And then obviously at the end of it all, you write. You sequence it deliberately, you paragraph for a reason, and you keep the audience in view. Make sure that the audience actually they are able to they basically engaged in your reading. How do we do all that? This comes later. So yes, this is what I want you guys to understand at this point. I'm giving you guys a couple of minutes. Please go through this, read this carefully, and let me know if this all makes sense on your own. I'm giving you guys 2 minutes, okay? ये जो डाई है ना ये यूसी नहीं है ये सिंपल 6 नंबर है तो ये थोड़ा ज्यादा डार्क होता है फिर कलर में फर्क आ जाता है ना तो फिर माला आधे ब्लैक हो जाते हैं आधे दूसरे हो जाते हैं जब कलर लगता है तो इसी ने कही थी यूसी लेना ये लिया कहाँ से यार पता चलिए या कहीं और से लिया तो इसका है वो वैसा है फिर अगर चेंज करना हो तो अच्छा मैंने इनको कहा था कि अल्टीमेट कवर वाला दीजिएगा तो वो कह रहे थे कि वही है तो फिर मैंने ले लिया क्योंकि रात भी हो गई थी ना बंद होने लगा था मैं आंटी ले लेती हूँ जलासन से लिया था आंटी और इनसे कहती हूँ मुझे ज़रा पिक्चर खींच के एक भेजेगा उनकी मैं इनको ज़रा भेजती हूँ जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम अच्छा कल ना मैं वो क्यूने का डाई लेके गई थी 6 नंबर ना अ, वो मैंने लेना था यूसी अल्टीमेट कवर वाला ना तो वो मैंने उनको बोला भी था बट उन्होंने मुझे लगता है वो दूसरा दे दिया वो यूसी नहीं है तो वो ज़रा देखिए मैंने वो चेंज करवाना है अपना वो पड़ा हुआ है Are we done?
Yeah.
Afnan done?
Yeah, done.
Any questions at all, guys?
No.
No.
Okay, let's move on then. All right. So now at the end we have the 15 reading marks. What are they assessing, and the 10 writing marks, and what they will be assessing you on. So R1 is understanding of explicit meanings. R2 is the understanding of implicit meanings and attitude. R3 analyzing, evaluating, and developing facts, ideas, and opinions, and using appropriate support from the text. Similarly, the 10 writing marks assess W1 is articulating experience and expressing what is thought, felt, and imagined. How well are you able to express all of that using the language, the appropriate language required? W2, which is writing 2, basically R means reading and W means writing. W2 is organizing and structuring ideas for deliberate effect. So, your sentence structure, your organization of your paragraphing, so on and so forth. W3 is your vocabulary and sentence structure, and W4 is to register and appropriate, which is supposed to be appropriate to context. So these are your required assessment objectives that you should be fixated on. You should have a good understanding of. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. Anything at all, Beta, at this point that did not make sense?
No.
Okay, let's move on. The 15 reading marks now, how do we exactly break them up? Now, Cambridge marks the reading half of question 3 using a table of 5 levels, which we understand to be bands or levels, basically. The wording below puts the official criteria into plain language for you and your convenience. Let's see how exactly are you able to get the complete mark in reading part. So as you guys can see this, there's 5 levels. This is the highest. Then we have level 4, level 3, level 2, and level 1, which is the lowest. So level 1 means if you end up getting 1 to 3 out of 15, what exactly happened? What does it look like on paper? So what is the level describing? In this case, students are generally giving very little reference to the text, or they are largely a reproduction of parts of the original. Content is thin or unselected. You are not properly relating it to the text, and little sense that the material needed reshaping. This is what exactly went wrong, or this is all that was done. That is why you will not end up getting more than 3 out of 15. So either it sounds like a general essay that could have been written without text C, or it seems like it's just a long stretch that was copied from text C. Does that make sense, Bacho? Are we good to
Yeah.
go? Then
Yes.
let's
Yeah.
suppose you end up getting 4 to 6 mark. That is a level 2. What exactly happened in that? So in this case, students would generally, they will demonstrate some general understanding of the main ideas, though the response again may be a little thin or it might not be focused enough. It might be brief, it might be straightforward, it could be giving straightforward references to the text as well. And again, some reliance on lifting, basically copy pasting the text. Maybe one bullet is missing, maybe two are missing. The voice might not fit, you might not have written properly in terms of the register, in terms of audience, so on and so forth. So whole phrases have traveled across from the passage unchanged. The third bullet has been forgotten or answered in a single line. So in this case, what we need to understand is that whole phrases, they basically have traveled across from the passage. They've literally been copy pasted. Or maybe you forgot to develop a certain bullet point entirely. Or you answered it in one single line without developing it, without answering it. That is a level 2 for you guys. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Any questions at all?
No.
Then we have 7 to 9, which is level 3.
No.
The text has been the text has been read reasonably well. A range of straightforward ideas. Opportunities to develop are rarely taken. Detail is present, but it's used mechanically. Focus on the bullets is uneven, the voice is plain. What do you think that means, guys? What do you think this means? What do you think we mean by detail is present but used mechanically?
The details probably strategized to be used in a way where it's more valid.
Okay. So basically, you're not supposed to just rely entirely on the text. This is what this means. If you end up relying on the text only, if you end up only managing details from the text, copy pasting, and that's it, that's your only support, then at the end of the day, you're getting no marks out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good to go?
Yes.
All right. Uh, okay. Accurate but flat, what that looks like on the page. Points are listed in the order they appear in text C. One bullet has 3 sentences and another has 10, so there's no proper balance development. All right. What exactly gets you to a level 4, which is 10 to 12 out of 15? Competent reading with some evaluation or analysis. That's extremely important because you were able to delve deeper. You were able to understand beyond what is given on the surface. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
another point is that there's a good range of ideas, some developed, though not consistently sustained. There's frequent helpful detail. All three bullets have been covered. The voice is appropriate as well. And then there's clearly a strong answer, but development comes and goes. Matlab, there's a little bit of an inconsistency, right? So that's basically mainly the point. One or two ideas are taken further, the rest are stated and left. The role is held but not inhabited. You have to make sure that you delve deeper into it as best as you can. You are completely one with it, your idea is completely akin with it. Make sense? Good to
Yes.
go? All right.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on. Then, lastly, obviously, how do you reach the highest band level? Level 5. There's thorough evaluation and analysis of the text, a wide range of ideas developed and sustained. Supporting detail is woven through the whole response. All three bullets are covered well. The voice is convincing and consistent as well. Every paragraph adds something. It's not maybe a repetition of each other. Details from text C sit inside sentences rather than being announced. Your sentence structure is precise and controlled. The reader forgets they are reading a candidate and hears the character instead, that you have been asked to role play. Does that make sense, Bacho? Because in this case, you will be asked to role play. Any questions at all?
No.
No.
Are we good to go?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's move on then. Okay. Now, as we move down, we have the 5 words examiner they keep using. Relevant. Relevant means it answers the bullet you're on and not the bullet you found the easiest. Appropriate means it suits the person you're pretending to be and the person you are addressing as well. Developed means the idea has moved. A second sentence that repeats the first in new words has not developed anything, it is simply a repetition. Make sense? Supported. This
Yeah.
means the detail from text C is visible inside your own sentence, not attached to it as a quotation. Convincing means a reader who has just read text C could believe this person could have written this. Matlab, your argument is sustained. Your argument is convincing. You made a good argument in its entirety. Make sense? And then lastly,
Yeah.
rooted in the text. It is the test that covers all 5. For every sentence you write, you should be able to point at the line of text C that permits it. Good to go, guys? It's rooted in the
Yes.
Yes.
text. It's rooted in the text. All right. But your point is developed. Your point is explained fully. Are we good so far?
Yeah.
Do we
Yes.
understand? Afan, if you have to explain relevant to me in your own terms, can you do it?
Um. Not in my own words. Not like I don't know how I would explain it, but I understand it.
Okay. Alina, what about you? Can you do it?
No.
Not
But I
really?
understand it as well.
Okay. But your easiest way to understand all of this is to have that very firm idea in your head. So, for example, in terms of relevant, let's go through it again. Let's just see if you guys followed. Relevant simply means that you have answered the actual point of the bullet, right? You have not just simply picked something from the passage that happens to be related to the general topic itself. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Appropriate would mean the information suits the assigned role that you have been given and your audience as well. So, for example, if the question asks you to write as a particular character to a particular audience, your choices should sound believable to that person, to that audience. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Developed means you've taken an idea from the passage, and whatever you were able to infer by reading in between the lines, you have extended through the point by using inference. You are not merely repeating what the text is saying or the text says. Supported? Again, simply put, it means you are not going to be developing, your development is still based on evidence in the text. You can infer, but you cannot invent something for which the passage gives you no basis. Does that make sense? So यहाँ पे ऐसे नहीं करना कि your points are completely your own. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then we have convincing. Again, it's important to understand that when it comes to convincing as well, your response should sound as though the character or person from text C, they could have genuinely written it, right? You are not your own self in this case. You are to role play a person. Your ideas and development must remain consistent with what the passage is telling you. You're not deviating from it. All right? And lastly, rooted in the text. The text is the basis of your argument. This is a very important point. So, in this case, you need to understand that if you are completely deviating, getting off track, then you will not get any marks. Make sense? Do we understand absolutely well now?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
for example, the examiner, they'll take a look at a sentence you've written. They should be able to trace its original point back to the passage. Let's suppose, the text says, I remember reading this. Maya checked the map repeatedly as the light began to fade. Let's suppose this is the point given in the passage, and let's suppose as a student you wrote, I was becoming increasingly. Let's suppose you're acting as Maya now. And you've written, I was becoming increasingly anxious about finding my way back before darkness fell. It does not repeat the exact point because it's not written in the passage in this case, but it is rooted in the idea that I told you about Maya, right? She continues to check the map because the light is failing, so she is becoming increasingly anxious. She wants to find a way back because before darkness falls.